Welcome to the drive-thru. I'm your host, Tony T. And for the next hour, we're going to break down today's card. We've got NFL, college football, a good slate of Major League Baseball. Of course, that NBA game, Lakers and Houston, we'll get to. A lot of free picks on today's show. Matter of fact, let me give a peek into our green room. We got all our pick dogs here ready to come in with their plays, and we'll get to them in just a second. Of course, we're live every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Plays YouTube channel. I'd like to welcome our co-hosts to the show today, Dana Lane and Mitch. And Dana, how you doing today? A lot of action. Of course, the NFL kicks off.
Absolutely. I was just reading a text from my good friend Todd Dewey, who does gaming over at the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and he said that the public is on the Chiefs, sharps are on the Texans and the under. So something's got to give tonight, and first game of the NFL is exciting.
Absolutely. And of course, Mitch, a different year, 2020, no preseason. Of course, not a lot of changes for the Chiefs, but people ready for the NFL.
Yeah, people are always ready for the NFL, and it just seems that there's also a lot of scammers out there ready for the NFL. So everyone out there is watching, and members of our Facebook group and everything else. If you see one of these scammer posts in our Facebook group, if you could just hit the report button, that would be awesome. We know they're coming. These guys we never heard of, they come out of the woodwork. They know somebody with this information. They have this incredible record, even though we've never heard of them before. Just remember. Stick to your game. Listen to the good advice. It's your money, so you bet it like it's your money. And we're all going to be fine, just like we are every NFL season. There's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some miserable calls that go against us. There's going to be some good calls, bad calls that go in our favor, and hopefully it all equals out in the end. And hopefully we turn a nice profit. So I'm really excited about it. And of course, I'm excited to be here on the show. I'm not just the owner and co-host or whatever. I'm also a huge fan. I watch every day. Dana, I loved your commentary yesterday about shopping the lines and the the stuff kind of that Disneyland, Disney World, and that whole thing. That whole bit. I thought
That's
it was
funny.
That's
funny you
really
said
good.
that, Mitch. Because I sat there and I'm driving last night and I thought, Disneyland, Disney World, what the hell are you talking about?
I
And I'm
thought
like,
it
did
was
people
great.
get what I'm saying? Okay.
Oh, they absolutely
my
got
wife-
it. We talked about it again on the morning show. That's how good it was. We talked about how first you have to handicap the game. It's like there are these people out there that are just fascinated by this line movement, and then it's like percentages of the public and percentage of the squares and percentage of this, and then but first you have to handicap the game. Before you do any of that other stuff, first you need to be on a side and handicap the game, and it's like a half a point line movement. People are always like, you still like it even though it moved a half a point in the other direction. It's like, I like it a half a point more than I liked it this morning. For me, it's like, that's why, even though I love some college football games for Saturday, I love some NFL games for Sunday, you don't see any of my picks out there yet because I want the picks that I give out to be as close to the lines as possible. We know these are going to move. So it's like I just want to make sure that they're as close to the line as possible. Of course, if you buy my yearly or monthly or longer term packages, you're gonna get those picks.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the game tonight. We'll start it off here, Houston and Kansas City. I was seeing 22% fan capacity here, capped at 16,000. No preseasons for anyone. It opened here. It depends, where you looked at it. It looked like by 10 it opened here, KC, but we're seeing KC 9.5. 9 in some places. Total sits here at 53.5. And of course, I'll go to Dana first in Las Vegas. There are people out there waiting for this to hit 10 so they can pound Houston. Do you think we'll see it?
I don't think we're going to see it at all. In fact, again, I have to reiterate because I get a lot of people, not just on this show, and I get a lot of people texting me or DMing me saying, where are your football picks? What's going on? It's like, we don't have anything. I don't even have the preseason to get some preconceived ideas about a quarterback's ability to read defenses, or I don't have any preconceived ideas about linebackers being able to read quarterbacks or make right decisions. I mean, these are all things I'm looking for in week one. And pertaining to this Kansas City game tonight, I would tend to lean with Houston if I had to make a selection on this. But defensively, I think we're going to be talking about the Chiefs' defense a lot more than maybe we did last season when the focus was on the offense for sure. But this defense is, they got another year or two to sit into the new system. I like some of their new additions. And I just think you're going to see guys that are reacting rather than thinking, which I thought they did, at times last year, which was overshadowed by their offense. You never would have thought about it because their offense was so prolific that, really you didn't have any focus on that. But there was times where I thought that, they were reacting to ball carriers coming to them or not being as aggressive. And I think that they will this year. I think it's a defense that's going to be very comfortable with their new system that was implemented last year. And if their defense is good, man, that's I never go with teams that just won the Super Bowl, but if they got a good defense to match, as good as that offense is, man, they're going to be really hard to beat. I noticed the Raiders here in town said, no fans, maybe week 5 against Kansas City. So perhaps that the virus knows this is Kansas City week and everybody can come into the stadium.
That's absolutely right. Of course, Mitch, Houston retooled the receiving core, and they got all their five offensive linemen returning, but no preseason. Some people out there think that tackling's going to suck, and they're looking at the overs in week 1, maybe into week 2. What's your thoughts there, Mitch?
My thoughts are that, and, while I understand the sharp bettors, and I know a lot of them, what I also know is that this Kansas City team, 9 months ago spotted Houston 24 points and was leading by halftime. And, that's the kind of offense that they have. We also know that this Houston team, they retooled their wide receivers. That's called getting rid of your best player is what they basically did. And, they replaced them with some guys with a little bit more, a journeyman wide receiver at this point, Cooks. Cobb, who we don't know how much he has left in the tank. He wasn't basically a non-contributor last season in Dallas. I'm a little bit concerned there, but maybe that's what they want me to feel. But I do agree with Dana. I think that Texans defense or the Kansas City defense, Patrick Mahomes won the MVP of the Super Bowl, but in my book, and everyone knows I'm a defensive guy to begin with, Chris Jones was the MVP of that Super Bowl. He absolutely dominated in crunch time, and the 49ers had no answers for him. They tried double teaming him, then they tried triple teaming him, then they just gave up, and then they gave up the game. Is basically what happened there, and then they ended up losing and not covering and all that other bad stuff that came with it. And I just don't know what the Chiefs have. The Chiefs have gotten better. And the Texans, I believe, have gotten worse. Unless you think that the David Wilson unless you'd rather have Wilson than Hopkins, and I would, personally. But I know the Texans really needed a running back, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I think this is an interesting game, and like Dana said, we haven't seen anything, so we don't know. We don't know if it's the Wilson that was the fantasy dream a couple of years ago, or if it's the Wilson that was that first overall player taking the most fantasy drafts that probably cost a lot of those owners championships. And I'm not a fantasy player. There's a asterisk there on that.
Absolutely. All right. Here on the drive-thru, Tony T, joined by Dana Lane and Mitch, as we took a look here at the Houston and Kansas City game, kicking off in about a little bit more than a couple hours. And you're going to get a lot of free picks on this show. Let's go ahead and bring in one of the pick dog cappers. And we welcome now.
I'll be live at halftime of that Kansas City Houston game as well, as always. Halftime Thursday nights, Monday nights, and Sundays.
All right, check those notifications for Mitch halftime and give you some handicapping tips and maybe a halftime pick. We got side total, lot going on at halftime tonight. All right, let's welcome Alex Smart to the show. Alex, how you doing? Ready for some NFL?
Good. How's everything going? Good.
Everything's going good, man. When you tell me the NFL is back, I couldn't be more happier, my friend. And I know you like to pound the NFL because I always say Alex Smart, a better first, handicapper second. So you don't get a whole lot of handicapping talk from Alex, but you do get a lot of knowledge of many decades of betting pro football.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be interesting. This first week's going to be interesting because, like Danny said earlier, we haven't had a lot to look at. So, what are we going to do here? So we have to just look at the lineups and take the lines into consideration. So that's about it.
I know that's something you really study are these lines. And, of course, from a betting perspective, a lot of people out there waiting, especially the sharp bettors are out there sitting in the weeds waiting for that 10. That's a pretty key number in NFL.
Yeah, and I didn't really meet anybody today or talk to anybody today that was really interested in doing much with their money. But, this is one of those games. I think you're going to see a lot of big-time bettors go slow this first weekend But there's still value out there, and I've been eyeing a couple of games, so we'll see where it goes.
All right, Alex Smart here on the drive-through. Alex, I know you're going to take a look at a college football game for Saturday, and we've got UTEP and a Texas. It looks like a big line here with well, it is a big line. It's probably the biggest of the week. We're looking here at let me pull up my screen and get the number here. It looks like it's 43 still here for Texas favored home. This game will be on Longhorn Network. And total sits here at 58. UTEP did play. They beat Stephen F. Austin last week, win by 10. How important is it to have a game under their belt this one?
Yeah, it's great, but playing a lower tier FCS team, I don't know how much it's going to prepare you to play a team like Texas, ranked number 14 now on some accounts, and considered to be a Big 12 conference title contender, and also considered to be a possible. Well, we won't get ahead of ourselves. National. I don't like to say it too loud because I know the Texas Longhorn fans out there are sort of squeamish about any kind of bad luck somebody might put out there with that kind of prediction. But anyway, I'll go with this. This game should be called Name Your Score, and I really don't care what anybody says. I don't think there's a sharp way to bet this or a complete square way to bet it. I know that there are conceptions and myths. Hey, plus 43 seems like a great number, but believe me, there's not really much value in that number. I'm telling you, it's a name your score game. Ellinger's going to go out there, and he's going to just rip that UTEP defense apart. Can UTEP even score? And that's why we've seen this total continue to go down. And that's what we're looking at. Don't be surprised by 60 points going on the board here, and just a couple by a couple of field goals, possibly, maybe, if they're lucky, by UTEP. And I know it sounds crazy. Lay 43 points. I'm not saying $50,000. I'm saying lay some money on this. I think you'll be happy in the end.
All right, Alex Smart here. Just go ahead and lay the lumber here with the Texas Longhorns. Of course, Dana, we're looking at, we're looking here at this Texas Longhorns team. A lot of expectations here in Austin for this team. What do you think? They think they'll meet it?
Well, I wish that I could jinx the teams that I dislike a little bit more. So I'm going to do my best to say I think that, Michigan's not playing, so I don't have to worry about them. But, yeah, we'll just say everybody on Notre Dame's schedule I think is going to be great this year. As far as this game is concerned, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen as far as, Tariq Black is coming over. He's going to be transferred from Michigan. I think he's going to, bring some experience for sure in a big-time program. They are replacing the right guard, but they're replacing them with a senior. Their tight end, Cade Brewer, is going to be a senior, or is a senior, so they do have experience, even though they may not have been the focus of the offense in years past. Now, the one thing I would say is, UTEP is horrible. I got a buddy of mine here that he graduated from UTEP, and he's always trying to tell me how this is the year. This is not the year either. But the one thing I would say about Texas, if you look at their depth chart, deep into their depth chart, they got a lot of new guys. And if this game gets out of hand in the first half, you can bet they're going to be rotating new names into the lineup in the second. So maybe if you get a good enough number, maybe UTEP is a second half play. I don't know. I don't feel good with that in my pocket either, but just throwing it out there.
Sometimes, Alex, when you're laying the points, I think it's better in college football versus college basketball. Sometimes there's a big drop off in that second unit when you're laying laying heavy number. And in college football, there isn't a whole lot of separation sometimes between the first and second. Sometimes it's just basically you've got a returning starter there. One of the reasons why you go with that player. But you feel a little more confident in college football, I think, when you go to that second unit.
Well, you've got 4 or 5 guys that are guaranteed to be NFL starters with Texas. UTEP, I mean, you can call them an FBS team, but they're really not an FBS team. And if they are, they're at the very bottom of the pile, we'll put it that way. And, that pile smells. And, I hate to be mean, but I'm just calling it like it is. And it's up to Texas. They name this score. And this being the first game of the season, I do understand that they will rotate some players in, but those players are rotating in. We've got, some 4 stars in there, and this is not a joke of a Texas team. This is the real deal. And they want to make an impression here today.
You know, Mitch,
So
sometimes
yeah.
you know, Mitch, sometimes those second stringers have got a chip on their shoulder, feeling they should be the starter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, sometimes they do, and especially at this level, because anyone that can play Division I sports, anyone that can play, whether you're at UTEP or whether you're at Texas, you can play. There's no slouches in Division I. Normally, if you're on a Division I college football program, you were one of the best players on your high school team. And you were one of the best players at every level that you've played at up until this point. So you believe that you should be the guy, or, you know, at least be one of the guys. It's rare when you're behind a Peyton Manning and you know you're not going to be the guy. You know, it's like, you know, that's not going to happen. But there's, you know, you put yourself into situations, and that's why you see the transfer portal become so much. It's like as soon as it got open, I mean, now there's hundreds of players in the transfer portal. We're going to see a huge impact player tonight in the Miami UAB game. Like, you know, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation that transferred, and, you know, who not only, you know, was a guy he wasn't a guy sitting on the bench. This was a guy, you know, with 5,000 yards and 1 million touchdowns, you know, that's coming in. So you can see all sorts of different things. Everybody believes that they can play. I agree with Dana, though. UTEP just stinks. I mean, 24-14 over Stephen F. I mean, that's not going to get it done at the varsity level, you know? It's like, that is just not going to get it done. But the thing is, you know, 43 points is a bundle. And when you do have the backups in there, and we've seen it a million times in college football, the back door is always open.
Yep, that's true. You got to keep your eyes
open. If I could just add one more thing. I mean, the reasoning behind what I said was, you know, I looked at their depth chart yesterday, and Texas' depth chart is full of freshmen and sophomores. So I'm not sure how many of them. I mean, I'm sure everybody thinks that they should start. But my only reasoning behind the second half bet is, you know, if you're rotating freshmen and sophomores in there is going to be mistakes. You have to get the right number for sure. I'm not taking UTEP plus 10. But if you get the right number, that could be something that you want to look at, you know, later in the game, because it's not juniors and seniors that are coming in. Almost up and down the line, except for Brennan Eagles, you know, who's a junior at wideout. Outside of him, everybody that would rotate in offensively is a sophomore or freshman.
All right, drive through here with Tony T, Dana Lane, Mitch, and Alex Smart. Alex, we're checking you out over at Pig Dogs. You're doing very well with plus 775 unit return this year. What do you got going on at Pig Dogs?
I got just about everything. Like my today anyway for tonight, I've got NFL. I've got the total there. I've got that UAB Miami game, and I also have the total in the Clippers game this evening. All
right. So check out Alex Smart. Lakers. That's right. We got Clippers on our mind. They're on tomorrow.
Yeah. I keep on thinking. I got something up for the Clippers tomorrow. So.
You got the Clippers ready for tomorrow. All right, Alex Smart here. Check him out over at Pick Dogs. Fantastic handicapper, professional bettor, moves money, big money in this industry. Alex, is always great having your show. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it. Take care, gentlemen. Bye.
All right, that was Alex Smart. More picks coming here as Alex comes in with the big favorite here, looking at the Texas Longhorns and laying some wood in this one. All right, guys, we've got obviously some games in Major League Baseball to get to as well, but we've got some finals that just came in as well. We just saw. Well, I think Dana made a comment saying it's over in the AL West.
Oh yeah. These are these games, these gut check games, Tony, that, you know, I just make a little note about. Even if teams find themselves into the postseason, I always say, okay, do they when they hit a wall and they're playing a team that they really need to make a statement against, do they have what it takes to do that? And we saw today that the Athletics were the better of the two teams, 6.5 game lead in the division. So as far as the division is concerned, I think this is over. I mean, I really expected a better effort out of the Astros, a team that needed to really up, especially after not playing so well.
All right, the drive-through here. Every day we come in with picks, and we have some more coming in. Let's welcome to the show Al Ninos. You can find him over at Pick Dogs. Al, how you doing today? And, of course, football season's here. Are you prepared for it?
Yeah, I got my first play out today, and, looking forward to a good season this year.
All right, very good. All right, I know you're going to be looking at this Reds and Cubs game. We had a pretty good pitching matchup yesterday, and we'll take a look here at the current numbers. In this one, Gray against Alzole, and it's Gray holding about $1.25. Total sits here at 7. How do you see this one?
Yeah, well, the Cubs have been the better team this season. He'll be making his 4th start of the season. He's never really been that great. He's had some okay numbers this year. He was good in his season debut through 5 innings, but he doesn't usually go deep into games. So while Gray on the other side has been one of the best pitchers in the league, definitely had some of the best numbers before his last start, which was pretty bad, but I expect him to bounce back from that. He's always had great numbers against this Cubs lineup in his career. He just gave up 2 unearned runs to them the last time he faced them in the 7th inning. So what I like here is another strong start from Gray, and I'm taking the Reds in the first 5 innings. You could you can lay the half run if you don't like laying juice, but I see the first 5 around minus 145, and I don't mind laying that to get the push in case it's still tied.
You know, Dana, you're looking here at the, Al's coming here with Sonny Gray. Your thoughts here on this Reds team? It's kind of difficult here when you look at the Reds lineup when you see the past 5 games hitting only 150.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true, but they're not exactly facing the Cubs team that's been ripping it up either. I mean, certainly in their past 8 games, the Cubs have struggled. And so if you have 2 offenses that struggle, you tend to just look at pitching matchup. And to me, there's no other – I mean, I agree with Al. I mean, there's really no other way to look than Cincinnati. His last outing against St. Louis wasn't good. He only lasted 2/3. But here's 2 ways to look at that. You can say, okay, he only lasted 2 2/3, bad outing, but this is a veteran pitcher. So the way I look at it is bad outing, but now you're giving yourself almost even more rest for the next outing. And so I think he's going to be extremely strong in this. And to me, I'm not going to go first 5 because it gets way too complicated for me. But Cincinnati minus the 1.5, you're getting good plus money on that. That, to me, is the only way to go in this one.
All right, here on the drive-thru with El Ninos, as we took a look here at this Reds and Cubs. He likes the Sonny Gray in this one. Al, will you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pick Dogs as we near the bottom of the hour?
Yeah, I have a couple baseball games that just started, but I still have a 5-pack out with an NFL game, a college football, NBA, and 2 baseball games. So if you want to check that out, there's some good plays there.
All right, Al, as always, check him out over at Pick Dogs. Pick up one of his packages. It's good seeing you again, Al, as always, and have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, see you then.
All right, El Ninos join us here on the drive-thru. We have a lot more picks coming, and I want to take a look at this one from Major League Baseball, an interesting one between the Padres and the Giants. And this one will get off at 9:10 Eastern time. Cahill against Paddock, and we're seeing Paddock a big favorite here, Dana. And of course, Paddock's had some issues, this year. But when you look at Cahill's put up some pretty good numbers, and the Giants, a team competing for a playoff berth.
Well, I mean, Paddock might not even be on their staff when the postseason starts, which is crazy to think about. But I mean, you pointed out his recent struggles. He's 1-4 over his last 6 games. He's given up 20 earned runs in that span, 35 hits, 8 home runs. That's only, I think it was a 30 in the 3rd innings those numbers were in. So that's not, when you get to the postseason, that's not really the numbers that you want out of a guy that you supposedly are going to lean on to push you through the postseason. But as far as Trevor Cahill is concerned, I mean, obviously this has been a difficult year for him as well. He missed most of camp. He had a fingernail issue in his right index finger. He had inflammation in his left hip. I mean, you don't know if this guy is running on 60%, 90%, or 100%. And I really don't want my money on either a guy I don't know is 100% healthy or a guy that's not 100% mentally right, which I think is the case in this matchup. I do know this, that the Padres would certainly be the side in this. This is the first time they went over the 10 games over 500 in 15 years. They would be the side in this just because I think offensively they can out-hit their pitching if Chris Paddock doesn't pitch well. But they would be -1.5 for me in this one, even money. And maybe we'll find some plus money as this gets closer to game time. But really, it's kind of a no play. But I certainly don't want anything to do with Cahill.
Mitch, was the taking the dog with the Giants attracted to you when you handicapped today?
Absolutely. I've been on the Giants a lot this season. They have been kind of what saved me. I haven't done as well as Dane has in baseball. Well, nobody has. But the Giants have been kind of my bailout guys. And it's like, if it wasn't for the Giants, I don't know where I would be, because it's been the Giants, it's been the Seattle Mariners, it's been, those types of teams for me that have kind of bailed me out. And it's like when sometimes, you have a day like I had yesterday where, I only gave out one Major League Baseball game. I had the Cubs in that one. Darvish, he gives up 3 runs in the first inning, and, the game is over. There was no reason to play the rest of the game. It was 3-0 was the finish, but those days are going to happen, but sometimes those will chase you off some of your best ideas. And, yesterday was one of those days where I think I could have picked every game on the card. And, I think I gave the Marlins and the Tigers both out on the show as free picks in the morning. So it just, you're going to have those days. But, if you can stay the course, we saw it from the Minnesota Twins last year, and we're seeing it, from the Giants and the Mariners this year, where it's like, you don't need to win that often if you're getting those kind of prices. But I think the public started to catch on the Giants a little bit, especially in that Arizona series. So we got to be mindful. But, when you're playing against the Padres or someone like that, you're going to get prices. So, why not? And, Cahill did have he did have the problems before the season, but, this is the best he's pitched in ever.
Yeah, he's having a good start to the season. Dana?
Hey, I just wanted to add to that. I mean, he's exactly right. And that goes back to an earlier conversation where I love handicapping the games, but I also love giving a little bit different insight, because in order to beat betting, you cannot think about, well, this should happen because it looks good on paper. In order to beat betting, you kind of got to think a little bit differently. And, to Mitch's point, you made a comment earlier, or late last month, I guess, about, hey, you're not that much over 500, which I took personally, and then, decided to go on a streak to put that to bed. But your plus money is there. And he made a great point, because I don't think people realize the Giants are 2 games over 500 right now. And it might be off a game or two, but I think 2 games over. And they're second in Major League Baseball in units won to the Orioles. So 2 games under. I mean, we remember last year the Dodgers were absolutely on fire. But if you played the Diamondbacks, you would make way more money than you did playing the Dodgers. So good point on trying to find the price that's going to build your bankroll, because ultimately building the bankroll is worth a lot more than picking 60% winners and having just a little bit to show for it.
All right,
absolutely. I mean, my comment had nothing to do with your record, because I think treading through. I know. But treading through the first 20 to 30 games of a Major League Baseball season, the first week or two of a college football or NFL season, the first week of the NBA season, first week of college basketball is about as hard as it gets. And unfortunately, this season for baseball, it's half the season. But if you can go 500, which you should be able to do, is to go in the 500 range. And if you can at least do that and turn out, big plus money doing it, well, then that's a craft within itself. And it was more of a compliment than anything else. And I think you know that. But it's like, like Dana just said, it's not the Dodgers and Yankees that pay the bills. It is the teams like the Giants, the Marlins, the Orioles. These are the ones these are the teams. And it's like, hey, how can I bet the Marlins? They lost 29-3 or whatever, because there's so much plus money this season. They were picked to win 4 games all season. It's like if you took the Marlins season totals, you've already cashed.
All right, here on the drive-thru, more free picks coming. We'll also cover the Lakers and Rockets a little later, but right now let's get back to the number 1 handicapper in Major League Baseball, Dana Lane. This one to go off here in about 10 minutes. Phillies, Marlins, looks like 105 on both sides.
Yeah, I just don't understand this. This makes me really nervous. I mean, the Marlins just got through giving up 29 runs. The Phillies have won 12 of their last 16 games, but yet the public is pounding Miami. against Jake Arrieta. I mean, this goes against logic because I thought I was going to get a much better number because I thought that would be all over Arrieta on this. But, you know, I don't know, and we talked about this earlier a little bit, Tony. I don't know how 29 runs sits in the clubhouse. They might have went to Yamamoto and said, hey, look, you're going to have to take one for the team. I think he took one for all, 29 other teams in Major League Baseball the other night where they just refused to take him out. And I get it. I mean, you don't want to kill your bullpen. You got 7 games set against the Phillies coming up. But, how does that conversation go between Mel Stottlemyre and Don Mattingly? It's like, hey, maybe, I don't know, get Josh Smith up and maybe get him in there or get some work in because this kid is he's 24 years old. I just don't like the look of it. And maybe there's a lot of things that I don't know. I talked to a guy tonight. We'll see what's going on. But as far as this is concerned, the Phillies -1.5 plus $1.48 is the only side that I feel comfortable with because not only did they get, crushed in this game, I just don't know how well that sits in the locker room. Even if somebody doesn't even come up and say, well, hey, look, you really misused a kid last night. Maybe that doesn't come up. But I don't know how you come back from 29 runs either. And Alcantara, he was great against the Rays, but this is his second time around against the Phillies. He was good the first time. And I always tend to go the opposite and the second time because now the Philadelphia has a little bit of a book on him. And Arrieta typically gets a ton of run support. So maybe I'm completely wrong, but for my free pick, I'm going Phillies -1.5 plus 48.
Hey, Mitch, how much confidence do you have in Arrieta? You look over his past 5 starts. He has given quite a bit of runs. Like 18 earned and 22 in the third.
I think it's always an event. We've seen a pitcher here that has won the Cy Young Award before and, reeled off 20-something wins in a row. But, with Joe Madden, you're going to get the expanded strike zone, as your manager, and he hasn't quite got that luxury in Philadelphia. And where he's really paid the price is where Philly pitchers traditionally pay the price, and that is when they're out of the game. And that is their bullpen never supports with any but their body of work, for the 6 or 7 innings that they make it, if they're good enough, and these days it's 5 innings, right, that they go. So I think that's, what the bigger factor here, for the Phillies and what their problems are. And, eventually it's, we're seeing the Phillies win a lot more games now, but they're also scoring 10 runs, to do so. So if he gets the run support against Alcantara, then the Phillies are going to be fine. If he doesn't, then he's probably in trouble. He's not going to shut anybody out.
All right, that's Mitch. I'm joined by Dana Lane here on the drive-thru, guys. 6 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. A bunch of picks coming from our Pick Dog handicappers. All right, Dana, we see your numbers over at Pick Dogs. Number 1 in Major League Baseball. Overall, near 2,000 units of profit. They're doing very well. What you got going tonight over at Pick Dogs premium section?
Well, I just have one game up today because I put it up last night and then I got up this morning and I looked at the numbers and I didn't really love anything. And I just want to, again, we want to make sure that we continuously build bankroll. I do want to say, and I'm sure this is on behalf of every capper, I appreciate everybody that has bought packages, that are putting their money behind me or any of these other cappers, because I know everybody works extremely hard. So, when there's one game up, there's a reason for that. It's not because I'm lazy and I don't want to put other games up. It's just it may play into what I want to do in the weekend. And I do try to carve out some time, especially in a huge weekend where there's a lot of things going on and a lot of things I want to accomplish as a handicapper, because I want to make notes about college football and I want to make notes about the NFL. And I don't necessarily want to spend, when I need that time, I don't want to spend the additional time putting up 3 or 4 games. But this weekend will be a big weekend. I encourage everybody to either, get in my daily plays weekly, monthly, and of course yearly. Everybody has bought at least one of those, so I do appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to a great weekend.
All right, guys, check out Daniel Lane. You'll see him documented over at Pig Dogs. Number 1 Major League Baseball overall unit return, nearly 2,000 units of profit. Check him out right now. Pick up that baseball package he has up there at Pig Dogs right now. All right, we'll continue here with our show. More free picks coming. We're also going to cover the college football game, UAB Miami. We'll have that coverage a little later. But right now, let's talk about this Lakers and Houston contest. 7 Eastern time, top of the hour. The tip-off. Lakers looking at as a 5 to 6 point favorite in some places. We're seeing some variances in the line. Total sits here at 218. Of course, Dana, Rockets down 2-1 in the series, but they just don't seem to be able to defend that pain against the Lakers.
Well, it's going to get even harder because I don't know if you guys have an update on it, but I haven't heard about the status of Daniel House tonight. There was some reports that he wasn't going to be playing in this game either, and if he doesn't play, that's huge. I don't think a lot of people realize how much he means to them as far as just rebounding. And if he doesn't rebound, that means you got somebody else that usually would be out on transition focusing on rebounding. And when a guy's out of the lineup, this happens no matter if you're handicapping in the NHL and the NBA. What that means is everybody has to adjust to what they're not normally used to doing on the floor or on the ice. And that's a huge factor when you handicap, especially in the NHL where you have to, change lines quite a bit. But with him out of the lineup, I can't have my two guards leading the way in rebounding. We know Westbrook's going to be, but I don't need both of my guards leading the way in rebounding. The Lakers outscored Houston 30-20 last night in the fourth quarter. Again, we've talked about before about how do teams finish. Do they finish on a plus? Do they finish on a good note, which they're going to bring into the next game? Because the psychology of betting is so gigantic. So even though you could take so much out of these games, and I took out, hey, look, they've absolutely, when Houston needed to make a statement in that fourth quarter, and it's not the first time we've seen this kind of issue out of the Rockets, when they needed the statement, it was the Lakers who made the statement. I'm leaning, if I had to take the Rockets tonight, I like the 5.5, but this is a Laker team that there's really no doubt in my mind that they're going to win this series because I think they just can bring their game to another level that I don't think Houston has found yet.
Mitch, this small ball, we were kind of critical of it, when they went to this route because you're losing the rebounding battle. I mean, you lose the rebounding battle by 13 yesterday. You're giving LeBron James, Anthony Davis 13 more possessions. It makes it difficult if you're trying to play him as a dog.
To me, it's, we've seen the Lakers all season long play this lazy style where it's like you don't want to touch them as an 11-point favorite, but we're not talking 11-point lines anymore for the Lakers, and it's a different team. And while we talked about a two-man show, well, if Rondo plays like Rondo all of a sudden again, well, that's a different story. And I love James Harden, followed him at Arizona State, we used to call him a man among boys and all that stuff, right? It was a man playing a kids game, and we loved them. It was like we were over the top about them, like we are with most things. But I haven't seen Harden been able to really get much done here against this Lakers team. Anthony Davis is as great of a basketball player he is, he's really one of the best defenders to play the game ever, and we're starting to see that, and LeBron is too. And it's when sometimes we don't see LeBron give 100% effort, or he's the guy that wanted the load management and the rest and all of that stuff. But this guy is a tremendous player, whether you like him or not. And I just think when you look at those top level players, stacking them up, you start to see the advantage that the Lakers have. And I think Houston is in a little bit of trouble here. And I think their best case scenario is they get some officiating like we saw last night in the Toronto-Boston game.
All right, drive through, more picks coming. We got the hockey game tonight. We'll have a pick on Vegas-Dallas. We'll have a pick on UAB-Miami, Yankees, and Orioles, and more coming up on the show. Let's bring them in right now. We're going to cover hockey. Vegas and Dallas are going at it tonight, and bring in Rod Zawacki. Rod, how you doing tonight?
Doing good.
All right, how's this NHL playoffs treating you?
Not too bad. We started off a little slow. I'm starting to get a nice handle on it now, though.
Very good. All right, you're going to be taking a look here at this Vegas and Dallas game, 8 Eastern time. We'll begin in one all series here with Vegas favored about $1.55. We've seen the total in the last game 5. Now it's up to 5.5. We're seeing some heavy juice on this 5.5 here. So how do you see this one?
For me, in this game here, just what we figured. Vegas came and bounced back. Had a good outing. Liner with his back-to-back shutout again. Tonight, I see this game even being tighter than what it was. Dallas played a little bit sloppy. They know they played a little sloppy. And I expect Dallas to bounce back here. Make this even tighter, making goals even more at a premium than what they are. been in the first 2 games here. So I'm going to take that juiced under. Give me the under 5.5 in this game.
All right. Zawacki says take it under. Your thoughts here, Dana, on this Vegas-Dallas series 1-all in this one?
I'm say that again. I'm completely with him on that. And I don't know if it's going to be tight. I mean, I can even see, Vegas really putting a stranglehold on Dallas. I mean, up and down that lineup. I mean, I know that Dallas has names on their lineup for sure, but up and down that lineup, I think that they've even gotten better. If you notice the adjustments that Pete DeBoer made between game 1 and game 2, he moved Stastny up, he moved Pacioretty up, Stevenson moved up. They played with Stone and Tuck, and these little movements, I don't know, always get overlooked. But they mean a big deal when you're a team that was struggling to score goals, which the Vegas Knights were. The other thing as well is, man, I can't say it enough how much production, how great it is that they have gotten production from the blue line and how much better Shea Theodore is from every single year. This guy seems to get better and better. I remember, Anaheim couldn't, they thought they had an embarrassment of riches with defensemen. They couldn't wait to put him in the expansion pool, and Vegas got him. And I don't think he really ever coincided with Bruce Boudreau. I think Boudreau always put him in the doghouse when he wasn't playing well, but he's got a lot of room to create and be the defenseman that he is and will be. And one of the things that he does really well is he moves his feet at the blue line. And why that's important is when you move your feet with the puck, and by the way, he never looks down at the puck. He is always in control. When you're able to do that from a defensive standpoint, you are able to get the puck in deeper or in down deep with guys that are trying to get position to get those dirty goals in front. And it is the defenseman's job. A lot of times on TV, it looks like they're just getting a puck and shooting it in. No, they're shooting it in at a time they think they see it opening that can get the puck at least down low where you can get some dirty goals. And he has done that better and better every year as a Vegas Golden Knight. I like this game to go under 2, but I also can see, a 3-1, 4-1 game.
Rod, in game 2, we saw a lot of open ice for Vegas. I mean, they had a lot of good opportunities on goal. But again, in this game, Dallas is a designated home team, so they get the final line change. How much impact do you see that impacting the scoring and where they can pretty much set up the matchups in their favor?
That's huge, right? You get the lineups and matchups that you want on the ice. It's huge for Dallas here to get the guys they want against this Vegas team. Dallas knows this Vegas team is good. I expect Dallas to bounce back huge this game. Sagan has his team pumped. He's even said it. He's come out and said, he goes, yeah, Vegas is good, but we'll be prepared. And I like to see Dallas this first 2 games of these playoffs. That's not Dallas style of high-scoring games and trying to outscore teams. This is how Dallas wins games. This is how they've won games all year. Tight, close, low-scoring games.
All right. Rod Zawacki here on that drive-through, like in the under, and Dana's on there as well. Rod, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pick Dogs, looking at here at the card for tonight.
Well, I got 3 plays left on the card tonight. All 3 different sports. I got 1 NFL play, 1 NBA play, and the winner of the side on tonight's hockey.
Very good. All right, Rod, it's always great having you show. Now, we can listen to you and watch you with Mitch at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time in the morning show. So I know you joined Mitch and company out there. We got Brian Bittler and, of course, Chris Ruffalo. So check them out. Mitch, that's a really good morning show you got going on.
It definitely is. Always an adventure.
We love it.
We love it,
yeah. We try.
Absolutely. A fun show. All right, Rod, have a great evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, I'll have a good night as well.
All right, back here on the drive-through. More picks coming here as we move to the top of the hour. And we're going to take a look here at this game here between the Yankees and Orioles. And let's welcome to the show right now, Shane Mickle. You'll find him over at Pick Dogs. And Shane, how are you doing this afternoon, evening?
Good. How about you guys?
I can't complain. Of course, you're going to be looking at this Oriole game. If you had the Orioles yesterday, you'd be pretty. You thought you were in good hands and looking good as a big dog, but boy, that Mets just overpowered them at the end.
Yep, they sure did. And looking at this Yankees Orioles game, I just see that it just got postponed.
Okay.
So they'll be playing a doubleheader tomorrow.
All right.
That's okay. It's okay.
That's all right.
I could bet it. I'm betting tomorrow.
Right, exactly. More baseball tomorrow.
I might be betting tomorrow.
Right. So let's just say, for argument's sake, if it's a day night, usually what they do is the pitching matchup tonight will be tomorrow night, right? It'll be the second game. It'll be a 7-game. So if they play it with the same pitchers, how would you see it?
Yeah. I mean, this is a matchup that just happened last week with Cole, and he really struggled in that game. Only 1 run was earned, but it's still 5 runs across the plate. The previous matchup against the Rays didn't go so well. Orioles today we're looking at over plus 200. A lot of value there. I'm going to go with the Orioles.
All right. So if the matchup stayed the same, it's the same pitchers, and it could be a 7-inning game tomorrow, right? Because it's a doubleheader. You would like the Orioles, and we'll see what the price is on that one. Now I know I know we have a plan B in situations like this, and you sent over your plan B, and that it works in situations like this because you're going to look at a pick from the UFC Fight Night, ESPN Plus, Michelle Waterson and Angela Hill.
Yes, that's the main event. Saturday night, ESPN Plus. Both really talented fighters, really good fighters. Angela Hill's coming off a loss that, I mean, probably shouldn't have been a loss. The judges, I think, got it wrong. Everyone that I follow on Twitter thought he got it wrong. And Michelle Waterson really has issues against fighters who come forward and attack. Angela Hill is going to stand there in the middle of the ring, throw as many punches as possible, and try to wear Michelle Waterson down. Not sure Angela Hill gets the finish, but around minus 115, she's going to come out away with victory.
All right, that's Shane Mickle here on the drive-thru coming in with his play from the UFC. Can you tell us how the ladies division is right now in the UFC?
Yeah, it's so hard. It's honestly so hard to predict. I mean, like this Michelle Waterson looked like she was climbing the ranks. Back-to-back losses kind of knock her down. Drevko is still currently the favorite across all divisions. She fights in 2 divisions, and it's her and then everyone else way below her.
All right, guys, check out Shane Mickle over at Pick Dogs. Shane, what do you got going on at the website? I know interesting here that we also sell over at Pick Dogs NASCAR picks, UFC picks as well. So, and as well as you're well-rounded, you cover the major sports as well. What's going on over at Pick Dogs?
Yeah, I've got a couple interesting packages tonight. I've got one package with an NBA play, college football play, and then NFL play, and then another package with those 3 plays, and a U.S. Open women's tennis play tonight, and then my top MLB play of the late games. All
right, guys, so check out Shane Mickle.
I've still got that $99 NBA season pass.
That's right, and you mentioned NBA season pass because right now Shane Mickle's #1 in the NBA, documented over at Pick Dogs. A very good season for you, Shane, and looking forward to this Lakers-Rockets game.
I am. I'm looking forward, and I think I've got the right total. So hopefully that'll cash tonight.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts here on this Nuggets-Clippers game. Did the Nuggets start to look a little fatigued on the court yesterday? The movement looked a little slower to me.
Yeah, they looked lost, and this looks like the Clippers defense of old, which is kind of what I expected, and I think it might be more of the same tomorrow night.
All right, that's Shane Mickle. Check him out over at Pick Dog. As always, Shane, great having you on the show. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Have a great night, guys.
All right. Of course, Dana, you looked at that Clipper Nuggets game yesterday, and boy, what a difference with the low scoring.
Yeah, I mean, like we said yesterday, I mean, this had to be the game that the Nuggets came out and played well in, because if it wasn't, this was completely over. I mean, and it is completely over. There's no, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, there is no hope at all for Denver at this point. It is interesting to see the kind of the in locker room bickering now, because Porter thinks he, should get more touches, and he did in the first half. And when he got touches in the first half, the first quarter, they were completely horrible. And they run a 2-man game there all the time, so I mean, it shouldn't be any surprise. They've done it last year, they did it this year, and there's 2 superstars sitting there right now for the 2 superstars ahead of him And I think he's just going to kind of bide his time, but I don't think it does them any good coming out and saying that he thinks he deserves more touches on the court.
All right, guys, this is the drive-through. More free picks coming. Let's go to college football right now. UAB and Miami. We're bringing Mitch for this one. Wow, what a line move this hour. We're sitting at Miami 14 now, 15.5, 16.5 in some places. Total sits at 54.5. Of course, Mitch, big quarterback change for the Canes.
It's a big change for the entire offense at Miami. Rhett Lashley comes in as offensive coordinator, brings his power spread from SMU into Miami. He's got a loaded arsenal of weapons to work with in this one, including the transfer De'Aaron King from Houston. He's not just a runner. He's not just a thrower. This is a 70% completion guy that can run like the wind, something that Miami has never had. They've only had pocket passers in the past, at least, of their successful teams. And this is something new where, when Dennis Erickson brought in the one back, back in the late 80s, early 90s, people threw a fit, and now it's, here comes Rhett Lashley with his power spread, and everyone is really excited because Miami loaded at the skill positions. No college has more starts at NFL running back over the last 15 years than the Miami Hurricanes, and they got Cameron Harris this year. This guy is an outright stud. He easily fits in that line of the Clinton Portis, Edgerrin James, Frank Gore, goes on and on and on. Lamar Miller, everyone's got a Miami running back, right? This is the next one, Duke Johnson. Cameron Harris, remember that name. Miami a few years ago got the number 4 recruited running back in the nation over Florida State, Alabama, everybody else. His name was Lorenzo Ligard. He had to transfer because Cam Harris is in town. A home run hitter from Pembroke Pines. This guy averaged 5.1 yards a pop last year, 16 carries for 100 and something against Georgia Tech. I mean, Travis Homer, DJ Dallas, these are all guys you hear their names in the NFL. Travis Homer, everyone's surprised when he comes into Seattle and rips. It's like, we've seen this guy do this a million times in Miami, and we're going to see DJ Dallas do it in Seattle as well. I am, as a Canes fan, you guys know I'm from Miami. I grew up in the stands of the Orange Bowl, and the reason why I do what I do today is because of the Miami Hurricanes and because of Scott Shaver and my friend Mike dragging me to these Hurricane games my entire life ever since I can even remember. And sitting out in the 120-degree heat, watching us lose by 100 to Oklahoma, Penn State, Notre Dame on a religiously, and then watch the program turn around. But the way the program turned around is by bringing in Miami guys. And this year, only 2 of the players really that are key players on this team on the offense are not from Miami. And that is De'Aaron King, the transfer, and the other one from Dana's neighborhood, Brevin Jordan, who everybody knows, top 5 NFL draft pick, one of the best tight ends, to come down the pipe in a very long time. And, you look at the Miami tight ends in the NFL, same thing. This guy's supposed to be possibly better than all of them. The Jeremy Shockeys, David Njoku, it goes on and on and on. Jimmy Graham, it's that this Brevin Jordan could be the highest drafted Miami tight end in history. So just absolutely stacked. You guys can tell I am excited after years of watching this Jared Goff style 3rd and 9, 7-yard pass offense.
Yeah, it was been pretty frustrating looking at Miami quarterback play the past several seasons. And, of course, Dana, when you look at King, he put up some great numbers. But you can't forget about last year, right? It was a little bit of a struggle, and then he declares his red shirt and kind of upset some people in college football. They're kind of reading the tea leaves saying, you're going to sit out so you can transfer. What's your feelings here with King?
Well, that's fine because, guys got to do what they feel like is better for them. And, obviously he's in a good position to have a lot of success, have a lot more eyes on him as he probably is eyeing the next level, I would assume he is. And the one thing about him, and Mitch covered everything. I mean, this is Miami or nothing for me. I mean, he is right about the amount of talent that, they have down there. And I will say this, since 2016, they're second in the ACC in scoring defense. Well, why is that important? Well, when you're looking at De'Aaron King and you're trying to determine whether or not if he's going to fit in this program, we talked about it the other night, and their scrimmage, which I didn't watch, but I heard it was a legit performance, and their scrimmage, their last scrimmage, he threw for 344 yards against a legitimate defense. That to me is saying, okay, this is not throwing the ball against Wake Forest. This is throwing the ball against your peers that have watched you all every day in practice know what your tendencies are, and you still threw for almost 350. I think Miami has a lot to be excited about, and really, UAB is not even. I mean, unless this game's 45-0 at half, and maybe you're getting a legitimate number in the second half, really I'd stay completely away from the UAB side. But a lot of good stories down there, and including your head coach Mitch, who got fired by Mac Brown down in Texas, rebuilt himself, went through Mississippi State, went to Louisiana Tech, got a job as I think the linebacker coach or something like that at Miami, and now all of a sudden he's back at the helm again. So good success story as well. A lot of positive things to get behind as far as the Hurricanes are concerned.
But I think with Manny Diaz, you have to remember as well is that he is a Miami guy. He's from Miami. His father was the mayor of Miami. He grew up in the stands of the Orange Bowl with me, watching the games and living the Hurricane culture and understanding the state of Miami. We're not going to get the Alabama treatment. Miami is not going to get the Michigan treatment. They're not going to get the Notre Dame treatment. They lose one, they're done. They don't get that. They don't get the benefit of a doubt like a lot of the other teams do. And it is the culture, then that's why you have that us against them. That's why it's important to have Miami players, to have Al Blades Jr. as your safety, to keep that Miami culture of these same players and the same pipeline of talent coming from these high schools, which if you look at the best players of all of those other major programs, Alabama, you look at the best players on Georgia. Well, Georgia might be a little bit different, but you look at Alabama, you look at Michigan, you look at, these top programs in the country, their best players are all from Miami. And it's, it has been that way forever. Jerry Jeudy, who was just drafted in the first round, right, by the Denver Broncos, he's from Miami. He was a Miami commit that turned and went to Alabama. I mean, these are the type of players that if you can keep these guys home, you can build it even though nobody believes it can happen. Because, when I talked about Miami this morning on the show, I took a lot of flack from people. Oh, that's the old Miami, that's whatever. It's like, no. This can happen. And if you don't believe it, you're welcome to come down to Coral Gables and take a look at our trophy case and see how many times we were ranked number 1 to start the season, which was 0, and how many trophies we have. And you will see it, that it's possible because this team can run like the wind. And you get those players. And I'm not saying this team's going to beat Clemson. I'm not saying that or any of those things. I'm saying that when Howard Schnellenberger came in, it was a 5-year plan. When Manny Diaz came in, he can't expect a winner in year 1. But if you get your players in, you build that pipeline, you get the right guys around. Manny Diaz, a lot of criticism for that hiring. Everyone wanted head coaching experience. The last guy that Miami had that did not have head coaching experience was Randy Shannon, who had a handful of rings, but he didn't have head coaching experience. And, it was heavily criticized. National championships are expected at Miami. I know it's been a long time, but that is the expectation. They had a long run of coaches that landed big-time NFL gigs. That is the expectation, and the talent level is there, as we see across the NFL rosters. I just think, a team like UAB has to be an afterthought if they're going to be a team that makes it to the next level.
Absolutely, and of course, I'm with everyone here on this side, on the Miami side. When you look at UAB giving up 35 points to Central Arkansas, 5 yards per carry on the ground. King can make plays on the ground with his feet. I was not impressed with the quarterback for the Blazers, Tyler Johnson, last week against that FCS opponent. 5 yards per attempted pass. That's not going to fly against Miami. As soon as that pass is thrown, the tackler, the ball carrier is tackled immediately. And, of course, the UAB really struggles when they step up in competition. We saw them get pounded by the big boys. They got pounded in the Conference USA title game last year. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking on at the Miami side. All right, we're here back here on the drive-through. Dana and Mitch join me here, and we'll continue. We have another pick coming. Let's go to a special appearance here by our NASCAR guy, Jeff Jeter. Jeff, how you doing today?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Doing fine today. How about you guys?
Well, I can't complain. I know we've got some action from NASCAR tonight, and we've got the Truck Series. Can you explain to the public out there a little bit about this series?
Yeah, in the NASCAR Truck Series, it's about like maybe a AA/AAA baseball as far as the kind of the level of NASCAR. So, we usually don't get a lot of the Cup drivers racing down in the Truck Series much. It happens sometimes. Kyle Busch has raced a couple of races this year, but usually tonight we're seeing some guys who are trying to fight to get to that next level, and some of the guys in the series have made a living for it for 15, 20 years. So it's a good mix of drivers here, and we're heading off to the Richmond International Raceway tonight.
Absolutely, and of course, I just wanted to ask another quick question here for you. Looking at the riders, how often do we see these NASCAR riders in the Cup Series in this race? Is it a stepping stone for them to move up in the main circuit?
And so, as far as the Cup drivers, they're limited to 5 a year. Usually, being this year, been the scenario we've been through with the pandemic, it's not really been that. It's not been that case. So, usually from the Truck Series, they can be on backup in certain situations in case some, kind of like what we saw earlier this year in Indianapolis, where Jimmy Johnson tested positive for COVID. We had Justin Allgaier from the Xfinity Series, which is AAA, come up and fill in for him. So that's another case. So there's guys could be on standby, and these sometimes it's just sometimes these Cup guys, man, they just go get in a truck just for the fun of it, put a little sponsorship deal together, and they'll go run a race. So it's a different. Each week it's different. So there's a lot of ways to answer that question.
Absolutely, absolutely. And which drivers, manufacturers having the success on this year on the circuit?
Yeah, there's a lot of Chevrolets that are, as far as in the Truck Series, it's kind of the main composite body. But, obviously the Fords have been right there. Toyotas have been a very good truck. Toyota manufacturing kind of in line with Joe Gibbs Racing there in Huntersville. They've got, and along with Kyle Busch Racing, or Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series. They've got a lot of their stuff comes from Gibbs, so it's all Toyota there. All
right, Coach, Jeff, you're going to be looking here at a matchup here in this Truck Series with your pick for the show.
Yeah, tonight at Richmond, I like Ben Rhodes at minus 109 over veteran Matt Crafton at minus 122. Just kind of looking at some of the, again, with the Truck Series, we have limited sample size. And the trucks have not visited Richmond since 2005, so we have no sample size to kind of go off of. But one thing I do in handicapping the Truck Series is we do go off kind of recency bias or in some recent tracks, and there's been a couple tracks that have been similar to Richmond this year on the circuit. So, but going back to it, I like Ben Rhodes a little bit more. His average finish is 9.1 on the season, where Crafton's is 12.2, and it seems like Ben Rhodes he's got 10 top 10s on the season, and Crafton's got 8. So just kind of a couple of stats I was looking at there, and this seems like Rhodes is in a fast truck. He's got a little bit of momentum too. He kind of lucked himself into that win at Darlington last week in the Truck Series, but I think he's going to be starting with some great track position. I think he's starting second or third. Can't remember, didn't have to pull up, but Richmond's not the easiest track to pass on. So I think Ben Rhodes will be at a pretty good advantage tonight and get him at a better price than Matt Crafton. It's pretty good for this evening.
All right, Jeff, I know we see you over at Pig Dog with your NASCAR plays. What you got going on up at the site?
Yeah, got my 3-wide package out for this weekend, and I've also got my Chase for the Cup playoff package. So I've got a season package for NASCAR, and I just uploaded the college football season pass as well as NFL. So I got you covered on quite a few sports. Had a few of my Major League Baseball games already go off here for today as far as my daily package goes. So, but other than that, just real quick, if just for a fun pick I saw as far as for the NFL game tonight, we'll player prop. I like Patrick Mahomes throw over 2.5. Go with the over 2.5 passing touchdowns. A lot of shops are about plus 115 on that. I saw one at plus 130, but thought it'd be kind of a fun bet. So, yeah, if you like that, take it. So, other than that, you guys have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, it sounds
The
really
most
good.
fun bets are winning bets, and Jeff Jeter, badass mother trucker.
That's right, badass, and we'll have Jeff. And I saw you, by the way, at Pig Dogs. I saw you 3-0 ATS in college football. So you're well rounded. You're now going to be posting Major League Baseball plays, NFL, college football, in addition to your NASCAR.
Yeah, absolutely. Got it kind of going off the ground, but yeah, had a very good, kind of a hot start here to college football this year, and so hopefully we'll keep it going. So check it out over there. Yeah, I'm 3-0, and hopefully we'll be 4-0 after tonight.
All right, Jeff. As always, great having you show. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll get another pick from you from NASCAR. Maybe we can pick something. You can pick something from college football for Saturday.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it, and maybe we'll get a little bonus pick in there. But thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Jeff Jader here on the drive-thru. All right, now it's time for my pick. I'm going to go to the NFL here, guys. I'm going to look at this Bears and Lions game. I'm going to hold my nose and take the Bears at +3. I cannot lay 3 with Matthew Stafford at quarterback. I could not believe this line. I mean, Foles, we know it's Mitch. We know it's Mitch there, Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. A little pressure with Foles as the backup. He's also good coming off the bench. But, the Lions come off a 3-12-1 season, 31st, second to last in total defense, last in defending the pass. This roster heavily turned over with no preseason, really difficult to evaluate game readiness. But the Bears returning 19 of their 22 starters back. I see an edge there. I like the Bears at +3. Mitch, I know you've spent some time in Chicago. Your thoughts here on this Bears team?
The stench coming from that Trubisky draft pick. I was back in the old podcast days. Tony and I just scratching our heads for it. It's the middle of baseball season. We're still talking about the Trubisky pick. It was like, how could you trade up to take this guy? It's like he started for 1 year at a mediocre program. But, at a non-football school, to make it even worse. But, they do have Nick Foles, and I'm with you there. Matt Patricia, this is the death march for him. It's do or die for the Lions. Last year the Lions opened as a dog or as a slight favorite or something like that against the Cardinals. Like, the world was on the Lions in that one. It was like, are you kidding me? The Lions on the road is your top pick for the week. It's like, that's not going to happen. But I think it's going to be interesting to see, with the stadiums without fans or stadiums with light fans and, what kind of effect that has. And, I do agree with you here on the Bears, though, for sure.
All right, that's Mitch here. Join us here on the drive-thru. I know, Mitch, over at Pig Dogs, we're seeing a lot of passes. Probably a good time to pick up a season pass. There'll be some NFL and college football up there.
Yeah, there's NFL, there's college football. We have, I think, most of the guys have a monthly plan, and with baseball and NBA and NHL still going, a lot of the guys are still involved in all the sports. So to me, it's like, people ask me about those plans. I always say, well, for the monthly plans, it's you kind of get everything, all in one, and then throw in a consensus report and get a couple cappers if need be, and do your thing, and then. I tried to find a good variety of cappers, some guys with a lot more experience, and mix it in with some younger guys, and kind of get that good mix, something for everyone.
Absolutely. All right, drive-thru guys, we're back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time with more picks. We'll have the NBA, Major League Baseball, we'll cover football as well. And of course, don't forget tomorrow morning we kick it off 10:30 a.m. Eastern time with the morning show. Mitch and his guys are on. All right, we'll say goodbye for tonight, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's give the crowd out there a good wave, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
CANES, Canes.